think you know where Disturbing Video Game Iceberg is. You've seen them, the layers, the rankings, the darkness. But from the depths of this crypt, I'll tell you, they never go far enough for me personally. Not enough history, not enough time with these creatures. Not enough of what actually makes these things so wrong. So this is my take, one game at a time. No order, just the truth about what lives down here at the bottom of the iceberg. And our first entry sounds cute and adorable, but believe me, it ain't. Soft and Cuddly, 1987. Okay, so we're heading into some uncharted territory for me personally. First game in today's list came out on something known as the ZX Spectrum. Sounds like an all-in-one home gym if I'm being honest with you, but no, it ain't. It was a home computer, basically something kind of similar to the Commodore 64. This came out in the UK back in 1982, and a year later we would get it over here in the US. So yeah, I'd never heard of this thing in my life. If any of y'all knew about this or even played it, let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, back in 1987, a game came out for it known as Soft and Cuddly. And oh man, it's just gonna be good. I mean, look at this cover art. A demon, disembodied little heads. Dude does look soft and cuddly, I'm not gonna lie. Soon you will learn how soft and cuddly this game really is. So this game is classified as an action adventure, and believe me, it's gonna be an adventure alright. Because this story you're about to hear is insane. Here it says, set in the world of 256 rooms. Whatever the hell that is. Because everything I've seen of the game so far, I have not seen 256 rooms. I highly doubt there is that many. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong. I guess we're going to have to find out. But anyway, listen to the story, okay? This is a story for the ages. So you're the son of an android queen. And the queen has imprisoned her husband, aka your father. But he is not imprisoned in a jail. He's imprisoned in a refrigerator. Well, at least he's not going to go hungry in there. But, oh no, y'all. An accident has befallen the queen. And now, just like Humpty Dumpty, you must find all her dismembered parts and put her back together. But listen, we gotta hurry up, because if not, the evil spirits will attack the husband. In the fridge. But he's locked in the fridge, so I thought he'd be safe, but I guess he's not. What in the living fuck were they smoking when they made this story up? This is like insane. I definitely give it A in the creativity department because I've never heard such a story as this one. But yeah, so that's your mission. Your mission is to collect 8 pieces of the android queen and sew her together. So you're going through all these weird rooms equipped with a laser gun and jetpack. I mean, the gameplay isn't anything too special. I mean, it's 87, so what do you expect really? It's just a scavenger hunt. Wait a second. What is this? Silly walk. Y or N? Yes or no, I guess? I don't get it. Is it asking me if I want to walk silly? I don't know. I looked and looked and looked, and I could not find anything on this. Like, anywhere. But yeah, if anyone's played the ZX Spectrum, if anyone knows what this is, please let me... What am I saying? No one's gonna know what the hell this is. Also, like, what's up with this, like, tall screen? Look at this lady. I guess this is the android queen. Looks like the corpse bride on meth. What is going on here? I'll tell you one thing, though. This game is definitely piquing my interest. I'm on a wild ride, I'm sure of it. But what makes this game stand out, and why it's on our disturbing list, is definitely the artwork in this game. Whether they're actual enemies or just stuff that's kind of decorating the background, you'll find some wild shit. I mean, come on, just follow me. Let me show you a few little examples of what I'm talking about. Okay, first off, there's a blue alien thing that's chomping on what looks like to be a baby's head, and the blood is just squirting out. Then there's like this 4 babies conjoined together kind of thing, and none of them says Lucy. I just really hope this isn't anyone's kid in real life, and this is like, hey look, this is my kid. Look, this is funny, it's you when you were a baby. Look honey, look. That would be very traumatizing. Just take baby photos like the rest of us, alright? Also, there's his head being crushed by spikes, and it says in text real fast, you die, you die. It's like, what the hell is going on here? It's like a tour of some dude's brain if you want a bad acid trip. Although in present day, yeah, that kind of stuff ain't too, disturbing. But back then, oh, they were losing their mind. They were thinking this was so disturbing. This was crazy. The baby's head getting crushed, the blood, then you get the monsters, babies conjoined and stuff, the skulls. Oh, this is demonic, y'all. Very demonic indeed. Anyway, before we continue down that route, let's talk a little bit about the guy who made this thing. Okay, so John George Jones was his name. And this wasn't his first game neither. He worked in another game called Go to Hell. Don't worry, I work retail, so I'm way ahead of you. But as you can see from the footage right here, this really ain't too different from Soft and Cuddly. I guess this was the next step ahead, the next step in the evolution of whatever the hell you want to call this. Anyway, in an interview in the Sinclair User magazine, which was basically like a magazine for the Sinclair research, kind of like grouping of the home computers, but that was the main system that got talked about in there, was the ZX Spectrum. So in this interview, they asked him, what possessed you to make such a game? And his reply was, it was much more disgusting. The babies in the game were originally being ripped apart, and sheep would be bouncing on corpses. I didn't write the game because I'm a horrible person. I wrote it to amuse myself. I love the reaction people give, and I can't stand nice and inoffensive things. To me, this is a pretty interesting answer, because it's something that's gone out throughout the history of time when it comes to art, media, or anything of the like. There's always people trying to push the limit and see the reaction, see how people react to things that go a little too far and get a little too crazy. So I can kind of see where he's coming from. But yeah, he's definitely a strange fellow based on everything we see that he put in this game. Some of the stuff's a little wild. But the crazy thing with this game is it came with a couple of little extras, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So basically, when these games came out, the physical form they were in was cassette tapes. And I know, some of y'all might not even know where cassette tape is. It's a little old school for you, but bear with me. Because with cassette tapes, you could have media on one side, flip it over, and have something else on the other side as well. So with this one, when you flipped over the game and played the other side, it played a song. So the song is by a band named Hex. I haven't found any concrete title. I looked and looked, I couldn't find nothing. But a lot of people say it's called Iron Maiden. Anyway, take a little listen and see how it sounds. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kinda good. There's a SoundCloud playlist with all their songs in it, and they got this 80s vibe that it's just great. It's kinda bangers, I'm not gonna lie. I'll link it in the description for y'all. It's pretty awesome that you got like a song on the other side of the game, just a little extra bonus. This reminds me of Castlevania Symphony of Night on the PS1. If you get the CD and you put in the CD player, you'll hear this little bonus track. It's like a remix of Dracula's Castle, but before the track actually starts, you'll hear Alucard, and he'll give you this little message. Listen to this.
As you can see, this is a PlayStation Black Disc. Cut number 1 contains computer data, so please don't play it. But you probably won't listen to me anyway, will you?
I remember me and my brothers figuring this out as a kid, and we thought this was so funny. And we figured it out because if you look in the archways in between the castle, there'll be these little parts that connect. Oh, they'll be right before you get to like a save room. And they'll have a little thing that says CD on top. And then we were like, what if it's a CD? You put the CD player. Not gonna lie, that's like one of the coolest gaming discoveries that I remember of us being kids figuring it out. God, those were the times. I miss that in gaming, being able to find stuff out and stuff. I feel like all these people just find stuff instantly, and there's no joy in like, let me kind of find what's going on. What's this secret? What's this? Everything's like the internet almost kind of ruined that, to be honest with you. Anyway, let's get back to Soft and Cuddly. I found another article, and someone's saying when they got this game when they were younger, it came with a barf bag. It said sick bag, barf bag, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, something about that's just cool. It's just like a cool little detail. I love little details like that. But anyway, I just saw one article talking about it. I don't know if this was like a thing at a certain store or whatever. I don't know if every game came with it, but still, nice little detail. I like it. As I was mentioning earlier, this game was it was disturbing. It was violent for the time. They thought it was a sick game. Especially back then, they didn't really have tons of crazy games. Like, you gotta think Mortal Kombat didn't come out yet. The Splatterhouse games, a lot of stuff like that. That wasn't a thing yet. So, of course, people aren't gonna be too happy when you do something like this, especially when it's new. So yeah, people were offended by this game. They didn't like the gore and violence of it, But then things got worse for them. Possibly the worst timing for the game to come out. Within that same month, there was an event known as the Hungerford Massacre that happened in England, where Michael Ryan shot and killed 16 people with several rifles and handguns. And this was a very big deal. This made them pass a firearms act, and basically they were more stricter on guns and what you could own and use as a civilian. So of course, when a game has gore and violence in it, and this just has happened, it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth, and they weren't too happy about it. You also got to think of where technology was going. What was happening next? They didn't know what technology was going to bring. Then they're seeing these gore and violent images on the screen. Especially if you're an older person back then, you don't know what's going on. People are always scared of change, so for all this to happen at the same time, it was just bad timing to happen. It was a strange game for the time, but no doubt it paved the way for future games. And for our next game, what happens when you take things a little too far? But this time, not for creativity, not for passion, but all for profit. Arcade game from the 80s, 86 to be exact. So many of you probably never seen it in person, and if you're that old, most of you likely still didn't see this game. I say this because most arcades didn't want a damn thing to do with this game. I mean, they didn't even want it in their arcades because of how much violence and gore was included in this game. And the game we are talking about is called Chiller. See, it's this light gun game where basically you got a mission. Your mission is to be the most evil bastard and torture all these people. Either you're shooting these people to death or you're shooting the environment, activating these traps to basically finish them off. So you can kind of see why people weren't, too excited to have this in their arcade. There's 4 levels in the game: torture chamber, the rack room, the haunted house hallway, and the graveyard. Okay, so what we got is the first 2 levels, they're all human targets. But then the last 2 levels, they're like monsters, zombies, mummies, ghosts, you're supernatural. So what you're trying to do is shoot enough targets, makes the monster meter go down to 0 in each level. Once you do that with all the 4 levels, the game just restarts. And it makes the monster meter go higher and higher till you fail. It's kind of like a looping kind of game. A lot of games back then had the kind of looping thing. So basically, there's no ending to the game. There are also these special targets that you shoot, and if you shoot them all in the level, you get this slot machine bonus game. But then if you do it in all the levels, you get this little shooting gallery game for more bonus points. Now, since we've talked a little bit about the gameplay and the objectives, let's talk about the main thing this game is known for, and that's the disturbing visuals. There was a lot of gore and blood in the game for the time period. There wasn't many games back then that would show stuff like this. So I can imagine people finding this very disturbing back then. You could shoot at almost every part of their bodies, and when you shoot them enough, they came completely off. I mean, there's exposed blood and gore. There's a woman character, if you shoot her, her shirt comes off and it makes her, topless. Not to mention the screams and painful moaning these people would do as they got shot. This was one of the first games where gore was like a mechanic and like part of the objective of the game. It definitely was one of those games just made for shock value. And it did shock. It really did it. But too bad it was not the best way for them to go because it cost them their profit. Like I had mentioned earlier, no one wanted to have this arcade game in their arcade. It was just bad for business. A very violent, grotesque game. And the establishments where it was mostly like for families to bring their kids or drop their kids off at the arcade, no one wanted that kind of stuff over there. If most of your paying customers are families and kids, why risk it? Why lose customers over one new game, you know? So because of this, the game sold poorly, but they marketed and sold a lot to a bunch of developing nations, and that would help them somewhat, at least make some money from it. But we gotta talk about the cover to this game. I absolutely love the cover to this game. Feels like an old metal album or like the old little art you would see in a horror movie, little slasher flick. But I was dying laughing when I first saw this artwork because I noticed something. Look closely at this little gravestone right here. It says, "Dead people are cool." Yeah, you're right. We are cool. I don't know. I find it so corny that it comes back around to being awesome. Man, that's some good shit. It's actually funny because this wasn't the developer Exidy's first time doing something like this when it came to violence in a game. These were also the same people who made the game Death Race. This was one of the first games to have a big controversy over graphic content. And when you figure out what's so graphic about this game, you're gonna kind of laugh because it's so tame compared to what we deal with today. So basically, it's an all black screen and then there's like white characters and graphics on the screen. You play as a car, okay? And your goal is to run over people. You know, and it's making little noises and stuff, little beeps. And as soon as you run over a person, it goes beep. Like it's supposed to emulate like a scream. And then as soon as the person gets hit, they turn to a little tombstone, and it's kind of like now it's a physical thing that can block you. So now you got to go around and just try to hit as many people as you can to rank up the score. See, they didn't have many games that kind of doing anything violent like this. This was back in 1976, and this became a big deal. People were very offended by this. Here's some of the things that they had to say. A very macabre experience. Morbid. Gross. Sick, sick, sick. I mean, it was that sick they had to say it 3 times in a row to really get the point across to let you know. But as I was saying before, you just gotta kind of laugh about it.
They got little people running around. The object of the game is to run them over. I mean, that's a little sick, but it's fun.
Because I know it was 76, right? You know, they ain't seen anything like that. But just seeing a stick man go boop and turn to a tombstone and they're going ballistic. I mean, no bone crunching, no gore, no blood. Just a little beep that kind of was like a scream. That was it. I can't even imagine these people's reaction if they'd see how games get today. Show them Manhunt or something like that. They'd lose their mind. What do they care? Because every time some new publicity comes out or a new crazy story, it's just a plus for them. The more outrage, the more controversy, it just puts their stock up higher. So to me personally, this makes it completely clear that Chiller was made with this in mind. They wanted to see how far they could push things. They wanted to see if they could make some more outrage, some more controversy to boost up sales even more. It's a tale as old as time. You push things too far, you be a little edgy, and then people are going to start talking about it. And some are going to be appalled, and some are going to say, "Hey, what's going on over there?" And it works until it doesn't. But as I was saying earlier, they went a little too far, and then people, they just didn't want to deal with the arcade machines and their establishment. No one wants people to be so disgusted that they don't want to come back or bring their kids or family. That's getting in the way of profit. I feel it wouldn't have been so bad if there was just still the monsters, zombies, and mummies like in the last few levels. I mean, it would have been fine, even if you would have been a little more graphic or violent with it. Once they showed the humans and then the gore and the guts and the limbs coming off, you know, that kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. I mean, maybe the game would have still been controversial, but been to the point where they can actually sell it to the arcades. They were trying to sell the arcade machines, but I'm trying to sell y'all this brand new merch. Brand new design of a light on Bourbon Street, taking out some monsters, some demons, the supernatural. There's a lot of that over here in New Orleans, okay? Trust me. I got shirts, I got hats, I got mugs, handbags, I got all kind of stuff. So be sure to check out the description below, and it'll link you to all the good stuff. I'm just so glad that y'all get to see, you know, what a light's all about and get a little bit of kind of an image of, you know, what I think in my head about light. So if any of y'all get some stuff, thank y'all so much. Also, please tag me in social media or drop down in the Discord. I want to kind of make a little tribute video to all y'all wearing the new merch. Anyway, much love and thank y'all again. Now let's get on with the last game. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark game. Now this next one was a surprise to me. I mean, to be fair, a lot of these old games in this list I never really heard about or heard in passing. I didn't really know too much about it. It never even crossed my mind that there could be Elvira games. I mean, there's a game about the killer tomatoes, so I guess anything goes. Just to realize some of you might not know who Elvira is. Damn, I'm old. Basically, she was like this spooky hostess of these showcases of like B-rated horror movies. But then she just grew from there and grew into like this cultural icon. I mean, she was in so many TV shows, movies, and games as well, I guess. Every time I think of Elvira, I always think of Blood. Because in Blood, if you look at the little calendar poster, you could definitely tell that's Elvira. But man, Blood, that's a classic game. But that'll be for another time. So yeah, in total, there's 3 Elvira games. We won't be talking about the arcade game today though. We're going to be talking about the other 2. These other 2 are like horror themed point and click RPG games. They're kind of a style of game that's not really around anymore. But we'll get more to that in a second. The first game of these 2 is called Mistress of the Dark. These games were developed by Horrorsoft and released by Accolade back in 1990. And then a year later, we would get the release of the second game, Jaws of Cerberus. Okay, so in Mistress of the Dark, which takes place after events of the movie of the same name, Elvira inherits a castle, has it all fixed up. Now she plans on making it something horror fans can tour, and see what's up. But before she can even get started, she accidentally brings forth these creatures that are followers of her ancestor Imelda. The good old classic trope of bringing someone back into power or resurrecting them to be the evil villain and rule the world. Nice. So, of course, they imprison Elvira. But that's okay, because you're here to save... Alright, you got captured too. So then Elvira saves you. Look at that. And since she saved you, you gotta help her get her powers back. It's only fair. Hey, you owe her. So basically the games are a mix of first-person RPG with a little point-and-click adventure in there as well. So basically you explore the castle in an effort to find 6 special keys and a magic dagger to kill Imelda. Well, at least you ain't finding the body parts to free your fridge daddy. I still can't believe that's the story to that game. Anyway, the game is point-and-click until you get into a fight with something, then it kind of becomes a timing-based RPG. Nothing too crazy, to be honest, but basically you got your normal stats, you got your strength, your resilience, your dexterity, and skill. Basically you time when you attack with 2 types of attacks, and then you have a block and a parry. And that's basically all the game mechanics. Now I know what you're thinking, that can't be just it. What makes this game disturbing? Well, let's get into it. Some of these enemies and creatures in this game are just disgusting looking. Like, look at this. This is scary. Where there's some possessed humans, evil cooks, or just straight up monsters like vampires and ghouls. Honestly, they really outdid themselves with this art here. It invokes these feelings in me that's kind of really hard to describe. It's like that older horror that's more raw and kind of visceral and really gets you, and you're like, whoa, it kind of shakes you a little bit. Especially when you see these kind of disturbing things in like retro graphics. Almost this feeling like, hey, you're not supposed to be seeing this right now. But yeah, anyway, look at some of these creatures. This is some good shit. And of course, a dark, kind of fucked up way. But anyway, regardless, these creatures ain't nothing compared to the next point. Let me introduce you to the death scenes in this game. If it wasn't because of these death scenes, I don't think this game would be super disturbing. From what I've gathered, this is what most remember this game for. Well, because of them and Elvira, of course. There is many ways for your character to die in this game. Whether you fail to win a battle, or maybe you just get a little too curious and you fall into someone's trap. Whatever way you wind up going out in, some of these are real nightmare fuel. Like, if I saw this shit as a kid, I'd definitely be traumatized. I mean, you can get your head chopped off, throat ripped out, crushed by rubble. Hell, I'm not even done yet. Eyes no longer in head, head cooked in stew. I mean, it goes on and on. It's insane. And look at these death scenes. They're weird because they're kind of like retro graphics, but they kind of almost have this like realistic vibe to them as well. To me, it's just so awesome that a game that's nearly 40 years old is still creeping us out after all this time. These are so messed up but so awesome. You can definitely tell the devs were big horror buffs. They loved making this shit. You can tell they had a lot of fun, and it definitely shows. These devs should definitely be proud of what they accomplished, because this is still creeping people out after all this time and invoking fear in a whole new generation. So to me, that's pretty damn sick. But now, let's dive into the second game, Jaws of Cerberus. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this game. It's pretty similar to the first one, but we got to talk about a few things. Alright, let me give y'all a little bit of the story of what's going on here in the second game. So, the main character is Elvira's boyfriend. Alright, pretty good start. But unfortunately, once again, she's been captured by the demon Cerberus, and he wants to use her magical powers. So now it's up to you once again to save her. But this time the setting is a horror movie studio. And of course all the movie sets, props, and monsters have become real now. But other than that, you got pretty much like the same game, just a different backdrop. Of course, different little rooms, different monsters. And of course, more death screens. These monsters and backgrounds in this game, in my opinion, are more disturbing than the first game. As far as monsters go, there's this knife-wielding dude, and the way his animations, how he moved, I don't know, the way they like jerk or something, just seems so unsettling. Then you got this vampire-like succubus lady, and she looks normal, and then she turns into this like monster. And I don't know, something about the way it looks, God, it just looks scary. I mean, like legit scary. I was like, oh shit, what is this? Like I said, these people knew their stuff. The artwork and aesthetic for these games are great, just perfect for that 80s horror movie vibe. Some of these devs, they just give me that Final Destination kind of feel, you know what I'm saying? Like these weird ass situations happen, and that's what gets you killed. The two standouts for me when it comes to the death scenes is the spider death and the spike trap. But also a little honorable mention to the little piranha biting your little finger turning into a bone. I don't know why, that just is funny to me, I don't know. I never really play games like these, but I might have to stream these in the future. They're just so interesting to me, with these death scenes and all the different crazy stuff that can happen. I just got a thing for these early retro horror games. I just love them, just like my love affair with the Splathouse games. Man, they're good. You just can't beat that 80s, 90s horror. I mean, I don't care if it's games, movie, whatever the hell it is. It just can't be beat. Yeah, a lot of those old movies are cheesy by today's standards, but I still love them. And both these Elvira games gave me those feelings, so they're good in my book. Hope y'all enjoyed the vid. I really do appreciate you stopping by. This is just the first one in a series of a bunch of disturbing games I got from the iceberg. We're going to do a bunch of them, but like I said, they're in random order. You know, some are longer than others, just depends on how much stuff they got going on. You know, a little shorter game's not gonna have as much information, sadly. But yeah, thank y'all, I appreciate y'all. And if you like what you see here, please drop a little subscribe for me. I'm trying my best to get monetized over here and try to eventually do full-time content. And I got so many video ideas and plans, so. But this is gonna be a long-running series, so thank y'all so much. And I'll see y'all next time. And remember, leave a light on. Also, if y'all interested in disturbing music in games, check out this video right here. But if you're also curious about what's Marvel's most disturbing game, check out this video. I got a bunch of more stuff on the channel and a bunch more coming.